Good evening. This is night 18 of 25 nights to close 50. I'm Tina O from Tina O Life. And on the 25th, which is Christmas Day, I turn 51 and I'm closing 50. Last year, I did a whole series of stories called 50 Nights Voices from the Stones. And as I opened up 50 and did all the things I was doing, launching my show called Oh My God, continuing to work on my book called Story Stones, and all the things. And I consciously opened 50. So I decided to consciously close 50 by sharing some of the things that really popped for me this year. So this recording, I'm really curious about what's going to happen for me because it's very near to my heart. Yeah. And I put on a fun jacket. This is a jacket I picked up at a secondhand store for my son, actually, when he went as, remember that song Gangnam Style? When he went as him for Halloween? Because look at it. Isn't it awesome? It's like silver and it's got this great, and look, I got like great collar and the handlebars, shoulder pads, handlebars, and the shoulder pads. I'm not sure why I put this on other than I don't know, maybe it's my own inner Janet Jackson or my own, I don't know, Michael Jackson or I don't know. I don't know, but I just dig it. And what I thought I would talk about tonight is it's actually the insight of music, specifically singing. If you tuned into my conversation about the dream board, which is over there, and I pulled it up and walked you through all the different pieces. There's a piece on my dream board that I made in my first week of 50 where across the dream board it says open the world of music. And how I did that this year. So in Oh My God, there's just this, the little piece um, from the Beatles, or is it Paul McCartney? And I don't know if it's when they were Beatles or not Beatles, but blackbird sitting in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly all your life. You've been waiting for this moment to arrive. So in Oh My God, there's a piece in there around the character of Christina, which is me, um, really coming to terms with her own moment in time and calling to live into that, and like her place in this moment. She's in Tuam, County Galway in the show, and she's going to visit the 796 children that are buried outside the Bon Secours mother and baby home. And the show is about a woman who's called to go there, and she doesn't know why she's going there. She just happened to see this news piece, and then she's like, I'm turning 50 and I'm going to Ireland, and I don't know why, but I'm going because I'm 50 and I don't care what you think anymore. I'm 50 and it doesn't have to make sense, and I'm going. So all the reason why I chose that song was because there's a lot of raven imagery in the show, and I know that the song as written doesn't the context of that song is it's not that it was written with these kind of roots, but the imagery of it and the vulnerability of it and the moment, all your life you've been waiting for this moment to arrive. That the vulnerability of that moment was why I chose that piece. Now, I know if I was to publish this play, I wouldn't be able to because it has somebody else's music in it, and I would probably write a poem. But in the version as recorded, there's a snippet. I sing a snippet of it in the show. And music and singing has always been, it's the thing I came into the world being and doing. It was, I don't know if you remember being a child, But there are those beautiful moments when we're a child that we don't even see as moments because they're happening right now in the allness of us. They don't have a timestamp on them. They just are us. And singing was that for me. I was a little girl who would sing everything. I would sing all the commercials on TV. Remember back in the day, we watched TV and watched commercials. I would sing as soon as I left the house. I was one of those kids that loved school. I loved elementary school. I loved high school. I loved elementary school because every day I would get up and I would walk down the street and I would sing the whole way, like no exaggeration. My brother hated it. Trevor hated it. We would leave at different times because I was just that kid. I would sing. So where I lived, 45th between Fraser and St. George, so just before St. George. So I would walk about 4 blocks to Main Street, cross Main Street, walk another 4 blocks to 42nd, and then walk up another 3 blocks. So I don't know, what is that, 12 blocks, something like that? I would sing the whole way. I was in Mrs. Brown's grade 5 choir, up with people, you meet them wherever you go. I would sing all of the grade 5 choir songs. Then I was in Mrs. Ormiston's choir. Mrs. Ormiston, who had the strongest frickin' fingers ever. They were like this long. Her fingers were so long and they were so strong. And she would pound the keyboard. You could feel the strength of her fingers on the keyboard. And I was in her senior choir. Love, love will keep us together. We had this whole dance to that song. And slow down, you move too fast. Gotta make the moments last, just kicking down the cobblestones, looking for fun and feeling groovy. There was a whole like dance piece to when all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I'm dancing and singing. Yeah. Right. So I sang and sang. And then in high school, all of a sudden, then you had to audition. It's like, added a new layer to singing. But I unabashedly walked in grade 10, grade 10, yeah, no, 11, grade 11, and they were doing The Sound of Music. We were doing The Sound of Music, and I sang, I have confidence in sunshine. I have confidence in rain. I have confidence that spring will come again. But it's obvious, you see, I have confidence in me. And that song isn't even in the play. It's in the movie of The Sound of Music. And there was a time in my life where I didn't know if I was good. I didn't know if I was bad. I didn't give a shit. It didn't matter if I was good or bad. I obviously had enough of a sense that there was something pretty about my voice because people had said things and all of that stuff. And which of course feeds your confidence, but fed my confidence. But I didn't sing because of that. I sang because I sang. And then I packed it all up. I packed all of it up. I'm missing the part about how much I loved choir. I was in choir in high school. I was in 5 choirs. I was in concert choir, jazz choir, chamber choir, girls ensemble. Was it 4 choirs? Maybe it was 4 choirs. 4 choirs. I was in all of the choirs. And that's where I fell in love with not just singing, but the otherworldliness that I pull into all the other work that I do now, which is story work, which is being in a space, an intimate space with you that you can't touch, but we both know we're there. Singing in choir can get like that. I sang with a group of people from grade 8 to grade 12, and I didn't know how special that was. I do now that I look back and go, wow, I've only had glimpses of moments like that, just a handful of time in my life. We knew each other so well, and we leaned into each other so beautifully and innately and with so much trust that it didn't matter where we were. We could be standing in the middle of a parking lot and we could sing together. So music has always been a part of my life. And then I shut it all down. And I didn't shut it down from singing. I actually shut it down from going to an acting program that just kind of, just flattened me. You've heard a bit of that story, and the story's not important. What's important was that I shut it down. And if you listen to last night's conversation about joy, there was something that happened when I shut that down, that what went with it was also that effervescent joy that just erupts out of me. So this year, when I started with Oh My God, I had joined the choir here where I live on Bowen Island um, for a couple of years previous. But when I sang, I would still not think I was good enough, shake a lot inside, not externally, unless I was had a solo. And I that little girl who sang, and even the high school kid that sang, she just couldn't be here. She just couldn't find her way. And she still isn't, but she still hasn't, but she's showing up. And so this year in my 50th, I felt like it's time. It's time. I'm going to go back to singing lessons. And so I called up my pal, Lynn Williams here, and said, okay, let's start singing. And I said to her, I'll probably cry here. And I did a little bit. I still do a little bit. But back to my point 2 nights ago about, and maybe even a little bit of last night, there are no questions. And what was once joyful is still joyful. Who I am as joy and who I am as this child who sings, it's like I'm not gone. I didn't get lost. I have to like go find her. She's not gone. She's like totally at the table now. She's still like finding her way. But I said to Lynn the other day, I said, I actually feel like I'm having my childhood again. I actually feel like, when I grew up in a house where we couldn't afford singing lessons, like all of the things that I could have been or whatever, or could have had or whatever that didn't manifest based on just not growing up in a family that could afford those things. Um, I get it. I'm doing it now. Like I'm doing it now. And I'm not doing it as a 50-year-old story of being too late or too tired or too whatever. I don't know. The stuff we tell ourselves about age. I actually feel like I'm 10 sometimes. And I remember in one of the lessons with Lynn where for a moment, like a second, I was like, oh, there's my voice. And it was just like, it was so small. But just as I mentioned earlier in this conversation, those moments where time stands still, where there is no time because what's happening is so innate to us. It's so like core. It's so of our absolute essence. There was a couple of notes in the beginning. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's my voice. There's that timeless voice. I don't know if it sounded like that, but it felt like that. And then about 3 more sessions later, I'm like, oh, there's the singer. And again, it was like maybe 1 bar or half a bar. There's the singer. There's the singer. And the piece that I'm remembering for me as I close 50 is not only is singing a place of joy for me and the child, right? For me. It's also a place of discipline and singing in a choir, and our last non-concert concert on the weekend, and like looking at Ellen, who's the choir conductor, and remembering what it was like to sing, how much I fucking love singing in a choir because of the dependency on each other. Because the only way we sound good is if I'm totally disciplined to watch the conductor and feel the people around me. And I didn't do an awesome job. I did my best job, whatever that means. And I'm building that muscle back. But like, so it's like singing is the child, it's the discipline for me. It's also an access point to like vulnerability. I'm not ready to solo yet. And I know I'm moving toward that. I'm not ready to solo yet because there's something so intimate about singing for me. I wonder sometimes if is that until I'm willing to give singing back to me, I won't be able to give it to you. So to solo before I give it back to me will only hurt, or I don't know, be a risk that's not ready yet. But I'm so thrilled that little pieces of the age I've always been, the person I've always been, the child, the woman, the not yet crone, but 15 years away, the whole package of me is on the move, and she's here the whole time, and she's going to sing until she dies because she loves to sing. I love to sing. I'm Tina O from Tina O Life, and this is about the gift of music and the gift of singing and the gift of being home. Thank you for being here. I'll be back tomorrow night on night 19. If you haven't watched Oh My God yet, you can click the link down below. And if you want to come with me for another 50 nights of storytelling, click that link. I'll see you tomorrow night on night 19 of 25 to close 50. Thanks for listening. Thanks for witnessing me.